Poppy survived more than 6 months past his heart attack. Prosecutors delayed the trial twice, citing the defendant's precarious health. The public scornfully lampooned the feds and prosecutors, excoriating them as carrion over the shell of a man. Poppy still met with his attorney every couple of weeks initially, but mostly over casual brunches at the condo, and not again after the start of 1999. Lena stayed in Poppy's house to help care for both her grandfather and Carmen, who seemed bewildered by the responsibility of nursing a very frail patient with her own health issues. Carmen had another fall while Poppy was recovering from his heart attack. It wasn't serious, but she got banged up pretty badly. Lena just slept on the sofa. She returned to work at the hospital, but only half of her previous hours. She often felt overwhelmed and would sit up late at night with coffee or a half-eaten meal, chin in hand. She was tired, but also strangely satisfied that it was she left standing as the caretaker. She woke in early mornings to clean the condo. Carmen must never know about this. Carmen was in charge of the house and would have been indignant to know how much her poor eyesight was overlooking. After tidying and covering her tracks, Lena would tiptoe into the kitchen to pour a glass of juice and creep toward Poppy's bedroom to check on him. His pills were now kept by his bedside. By Hanukkah, there was a hospital bed in his room. Poppy was always sleeping, zanily snoring when she first cracked open the bedroom door. She wondered if he was having a really satisfying dream. Maybe he was reliving wild events from his past, riding through old Detroit in a Stutz Bearcat during his heyday, wearing a chinchilla coat and brandishing a Tommy gun. Or so she wondered, bemused. When she desperately needed a break, she called in a nurse friend. The nurse, a gay man in his 50s, riled Poppy up a little, but really, all the old man could muster by this point was a not unpleasant grimace in response to the nurse's wisecracks. For a few weeks after his release from hospital, Poppy was strong enough to go to the cardiologist's office with Lena. But by Thanksgiving, those weekly visits were too hard on him. There was nothing that could be done but monitor his vitals by this point. His granddaughters were told upon his release that he probably had weeks to live. Yet Poppy would surprise everyone. The old man was no quitter. In mid-January, while out picking up a prescription for her grandfather, Lena met a young pharmacist. It snowed so fiercely that afternoon that there was thunder, tree limbs crashing down. She waited in the pharmacy several extra minutes, awaiting a break in the storm. Henry Haggerty was a mellow 33-year-old with a feathery ginger beard. They chatted that day, and on her next visit, he asked her out. They dated for a month. Mostly they'd just meet up for a movie and a bite to eat, plus a little canoodling on his couch. Lena kept Henry at a distance, believing she should not grow too attached to anyone outside of her family. Twice a week, Eva brought Viva to see Poppy. The great-grandbaby brought that uniquely youthful joy and light to a sometimes dreary convalescing home. The best nights were when both Eva and Lena were there, and the sisters gathered together, preparing dinner and laughing and reminiscing together. Some nights Abraham joined them. Weekly, Leon and Jacqueline came by with casseroles, home-cooked savory goodness. Poppy instructed Lena very carefully on the proper way to prepare his potatoes. She listened and nodded, but was ever mindful not to surpass her grandfather with her kitchen skills, at least not in front of him. Tasha spent 2 afternoons a week at the condo as well. She was dating a man from the neighborhood, and Leon and Jacqueline were doing everything they could to stifle their displeasure. Her boyfriend was a decade older than her and had already spent 3 years in jail for petty crimes. Leon beseeched help from Carmen. She's got to learn there's more important things in life. She needs to be of service, so I'm putting her to service with you. He felt that time with the older folks would do his daughter some good. When Tasha came, she followed Carmen's lead around the house. But she dawdled, distracted. Carmen watched her guardedly and held her thoughts to herself. She knew this girl. This young woman was secretly her granddaughter. She saw herself at that age all over again, headstrong and stubborn. She wished she could hug Tasha, claim her as her own, and tell her the truth about men and life and regrets. Implore her not to go against her parents. Warn her not to get in her own way, like Carmen had. As January crept into February, the household grew quieter and quieter. It was rare to gather everyone at the dining room table, and by the end of February, Poppy didn't have the strength to leave his room more than 5 or 10 minutes at most.